What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's the one and only Dog Waters, James Williams, the owner of IamDogWaters.com, the Dog Waters channel, bada bing, bada boom. You guys know who I am. And if this is your first time listening and you don't know who I am, then welcome to the channel. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Sasquatch. As you guys know, I've been laying off Dogman, but I've been laying off Dogman for a very specific reason. And we're hitting on Bigfoot. And then I got a surprise for you guys coming down the pipeline as it pertains to Bigfoot. But tonight we're going to be talking about the hairy man, the Squatch, Bigfoot. And we have the gentleman from Squatch Watchers with us. And I'm excited to hold this conversation. So we have three people with us. We have Tate, we have Taylor, we have David from Squatch Watchers. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce them to you. Guys, how y'all feeling today? How's everything going?
Great, great.
Waiting on me. Man, I'm wonderful. Busy, but good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was waiting for everybody to speak. I don't want to interrupt anybody.
Yeah.
Doing good. Thanks for having us on, man.
Now, we're going to start this off by me saying this, guys. And this is something that I think is very important for the Squatch community, the paranormal community as a whole. So you got four gentlemen on here holding conversations, preparing for the interview. And we just talked about how important family is and how that should come before this fascination that people have with Bigfoot and Dogman. And I want to say this to you listening right now. If you are listening to this interview and you find yourself in a position where you're an investigator or field researcher or just a fan, and you prioritize any of this over your family, I need you to stop. I need you to pause. I need you to reevaluate where you are in your headspace, because I'm telling you, you have placed this as an idol in your life. And it's kind of like a God. My God is Jesus Christ. That's who I rock with. I don't know who you rock with, but I'm just telling you, it should not be a God. You know what I'm saying? So understand that. If you're doing that, don't say, man, nobody told me. When you get to the pearly gates of heaven, they be like, oh, so you worship Bigfoot. And you be like, no, I didn't. They be like, Dog Waters told you about it. So listen to me and listen to me good. All right, gentlemen, let's start here. First of all, during the pre-interview, we chopped it up a little bit, and you guys said you guys started in 2010, and I'm assuming you started the investigation in 2010. Walk me through, first of all, because I want to know how the three of you guys hooked up and got together, and then what experience was it that kind of formed the catalyst for this group to come together?
Who goes first?
David, take it away. You were there first.
Oh, no, well, it's technically Taylor. Taylor and I met about the same time. I was working here in Alexander County, and the gentleman whose property we hunt on a regular basis, his brother was in the plant talking about, they had seen Bigfoot and they'd found a footprint and they were going to go hunting. And by hunting, I mean investigating, not out with guns trying to shoot something. Okay. And I called bunk. I didn't believe it. I mean, I just didn't believe. And so the next week he comes back and he's like, hey, do you want to go on a hunt? And I'm like, are you kidding? Yeah, prove it to me. So I gave him my number, and he said, when they call you, be prepared to go. And, you just got to pick up and go whenever they say. So I did. And it was a Tuesday night, 9:00. And then, so we're out on this property. We're out, gosh, it must be 2:00 in the morning, and it's just dead as a doornail. And DW, I mean, I'm just like, I knew it was bunk. I knew it was just a bunch of crap. And so, we're winding the night down, and we're just sitting at this area now that it's an overlook, but we used to call it the nesting area. And the guys are just closing out, and they're doing a little video for our friend. He produces a local television show that we're on, and it's his property, it's his show, so I didn't want to butt in. And so they're like, okay, that's it for tonight. And I'm like, guys, everybody's been calling and hollering and yelling all night for Bigfoot. Do you mind if I try? And Rex is like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Now, and the guys will tell you, I'm very loud. They actually, when they post the videos now, they muffle the volume of my call because it's so loud. People were complaining that their earbuds were busting their eardrums. Testimony to me. So anyway, I gave a yell, and I mean, it was long, it was drawn out, and I mean, they had to hear it 3 miles away. And way off the distance, there's this little mountain at the overlook, and this jackass and starts he-awing across the mountain. You can hear it out there just taking off, and the coyotes are kind of going, and all of a sudden, in behind all that, you hear this big, long, drawn-out yell that just drowned everything out, and it just got deathly quiet. And I looked at Rex, and I said, "What was that?" And he said, "That was a Sasquatch." And I don't know that I've missed enough hunts that you can count on one hand since then. Taylor and I met on the very next hunt. We've been doing this now for almost 13 years. And brother, we just haven't looked back. And I mean, we're really serious about what we do.
That's awesome. Now, Tate, where did you come in the equation?
So I came in after Taylor because Taylor basically invited me. Taylor and I grew up. We played t-ball together, and all the way up through grade school. I mean, we graduated together. I mean, we've been friends for a long time. And it was about the end of high school, right after high school. That's when he started with David and Rex, and he would call me every Friday night after they were done and tell me about this crazy story that happened, or something like something screaming at them. They locked themselves in the car. David got hit with a mud clump on a golf cart, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, backstory about me, I've always believed in cryptid and paranormal. I've always believed it. I've always been fascinated by it as a kid. But for something to be, I mean, we're talking about the property is maybe 5 miles from my house. I didn't think it'd be in my backyard. I never thought Sasquatch would be in my backyard. And I always dismissed it. But then finally, Taylor kept on me enough. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go try it one night. So I went with Taylor and then met Dave and Toby, which they're my brothers now. I would do anything for them guys. And the first night I went out there, David said, "Here, we throw rocks to communicate with these Bigfoot. We throw rocks, and then we wait and listen. And if we get anything thrown back, then that's a reaction and a communication method." So I took a few rocks, little pebbles, and just toss them in the woods, work on that old baseball arm a little bit. And so sitting there waiting, 2 to 5 minutes go by, pitch black dark, no flashlights, nothing. And then all of a sudden I start hearing whizzing by me, and I hear stuff hitting the gravel road, hitting the trees. And I'm looking around, I'm like, oh my God, something's throwing rocks at us, and it's directly in the woods. And I don't know what it was. And to this day, we've had all kinds of crazy stuff happen on the property. And as of late, Toby has come back in the group with us after he had a little hiatus. He had a few issues going on. He had a few things going on in his life he was trying to improve on. He had a business he going to start. So after he got his business started, he got everything squared away. He came back with us. And I don't know, man, but ever since Toby came back the last few weeks, the activity level has just amped up again.
Man, I really admire the fact that you guys go out into the woods in the night in the dark. And I don't say I say in the dark, because people don't understand how dark it is in the night in the woods. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always describe it that way. I really admire the fact that you guys do that. And let's get to some fun stuff. All right, and Taylor's back in here with us, well, guys. He dropped off for a little while.
No,
let's get to
it's
some...
not.
I want to touch on the paranormal stuff that you guys do, but in fact, let's go there first. So we got the Bigfoot investigations that you guys do. How does the paranormal come in? Do you guys go ghost hunting? What do you guys do?
So we have in the past year, we've really invested into it a lot. We've got the SLS, we've got the Polter Pod, we've got spirit boxes. And me at first, I was always kind of iffy on it. And dude, when I tell you, we've had some pretty amazing evidence with the SLS and then the spirit box, on property, not even going to different properties. And when David gets a hold of the spirit box, I don't know if his veil is thinner than ours, if whatever it is, but once he gets a hold of the spirit box on certain places on this property, you'll ask it questions, man. And I never believed in spirit boxes. You ask these questions, and we were going back and forth. I hope David don't mind me talking about this, and then I'm sure he'll take it over. So a week prior, Tate and I was going out there experimenting with this spirit box, and we were asking it questions. It was calling us a liar. It was calling. We was like, "Who threw the rocks?" And it called us liars. Then all of a sudden, it kept saying, "Dave." And my daughter's saying, "Hey." So it kept saying, "Dave, Dave," and Tate and I were like, "What the heck?" So Dave comes back the next week. We go to this certain thing of property, and dude, when I say this thing was nailing everything on the head, and it's on camera also. Um, it was like it said his daughter's name. He was like, "What about my daughter? Who is my daughter?" And it said Kaylin.
Oh, hell
David gets
no.
weak. We kind of worded it wrong. Some people call it clickbait. We call it getting confused between passing out and getting weak. He loses all weakness. He lays down. He gets really weak, and like that's just one of the hundreds of stories that we can tell you just in a short amount of time on property. David, Tate, y'all take it over with the rest.
I got to throw a side note in before David starts. The paranormal side of our investigating has gotten so bad and intense that the property owner Rex has basically forbidden us to continue the research. Like we can only do Bigfoot now. It's gotten that bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David. What are you gonna say?
No, the guys are correct. I just simply fainted from the emotion of it all. The property holds such a paranormal power. I mean, there's more on the property than people realize, and I'm trying not to say too much because we'll have viewers that watch even our just our Bigfoot videos, and they'll send in stuff or you know. I've had people call me at home and tell me to be careful about what's going on the property, that there's things that I'm unaware of. And, recently Tate just forwarded me a message from a random viewer that specifically told, the one you call David, he needs to be careful going off in the dark by himself. And I'm going to go back in where it's light now because I've lost the sun. But they, I don't know, it even talking about it sometimes kind of makes me a little antsy because there's more going on than most people know when it comes to the paranormal world. And you have to be very careful because you can't open doors that can't get shut. And we're experiencing such a wide range of
That's
back
a
in there. We're the owner has just like it's
that's about par for the course when you start talking about paranormal, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Coming through the frequency waves, I think.
yeah.
yeah. So,
No, hey, there he comes back.
there he goes. Okay, he's back. Dave.
Talking in that I'm going to go back. I can get a little light.
All right.
So everybody
So I'll tell you this, guys. A
play.
couple of
So
things you guys gotta. You're out in the field, so I'll share with you some of the things I've learned. So, um, and then you can attest to this. I'm pretty sure, as a field investigator, you can attest to this. There's multiple things that are in the same vicinity of these Bigfoots, no matter where you go. It could be down here in Louisiana. It could be where you guys are. It's in
Yes.
Oklahoma. It could be in Texas. It does not matter. There's always spiritual entities with them. There's a hooded spiritual figure with glowing white eyes that's always there. There's this one with a circular face that kind of looks like, and witnesses have described this all over the place, has a perfect circle for a face, perfect eyes that are black dots, no nose, and a mouth, and like a slit for a mouth. And these are two entities that are always there with these Bigfoots. The hooded one is the one that's the problem, and that hooded one is the one that tends to be the more, I guess you can say, demonic thing that's with them. So you guys just got to be extremely prayed up and careful when you go out there messing around with the spiritual aspect. And
There,
David, because spirit is more powerful than flesh, when you interact with spirits, your spirit body interacts with them. And so when your spirit body is at spiritual warfare where it's communicating and fighting, and your physical body starts to feel those things where you feel faint, you feel dizzy, you feel nauseous, you feel all these different things. That's how you know your spirit man is at war with something. That's why you have to use the full armor of God before you go anywhere. That way you can kick
yep,
some butt in the spirit if you need to. Woo!
yep.
You guys
Uh,
are on the on you guys are on You guys are sitting on top of it for real. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, a lot of investigators I talk to, though, they don't hit on none of this.
No, DW. So you put cold chills all over me. Um, you said the hooded Bigfoot has the white eyes, correct? Or the
Yes.
hooded demon?
Yep.
Okay. So, bear with me because I'm getting cold chills. Like, I guess it's, I mean, this is God talking because you're like us. We are Christian based. So 2 weeks prior to this sighting that I'm about to tell you about, we find prints with our friends from the NFL, pure skeptic dudes. I won't mention the name because it's not about them. This is about the Squatch Watchers in your page. So they come on a hunt. We don't want to go down to this area. They're like, hey, let's go. We find two sets of prints. Well, two prints. I'll cut that story short. Well, a week later, David is in the woods all week because he's like, I got to figure out what put these tracks down. So my wife and I swing in. We're like, David, you need protection. So I give him my little 380. It's not protection of Bigfoot. It's not protection of spirits. It's protection of coyotes and mountain lions. I know 380 is not going to do much, but so me and her leave. We go somewhere, and as we're leaving, she's like, I really hate leaving David out in the woods like this because you got people, because we're in the car getting ready to cross the hill. Because she's like, you got people like this crazy dude right here that could just walk in there. As soon as she said that, this thing cleared the road in 3 steps. It was solid black, round head, and it had the white eyes. And you were the first person I've ever heard describe that to a T without me telling them anything. And then we come back, get David, go to the spot where we saw this thing, and there was you know how the grass in the old country roads will grow about 3 foot high,
Mm-hmm.
and this thing had walked through it and split it on its way to David. So you put cold chills on me to like, David, there it is. I mean, that's it.
But keep in mind, he's touched on something that most people haven't. When he says hooded, okay, so we can take it a couple of ways. What is the photograph that Rex showed us on the trail cam? How would you describe that after hearing his description?
Cloak, like a cloak.
Cloaked and hooded.
Hooded.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
dude, like my wife, pure skeptic too, didn't believe in any of it. She saw it with me, like plain as day. She's the one that pointed out. So you just put, oh my gosh, David, that's what it is. DW, you hit it on the head.
so the recent photograph y'all just posted on our page that the gentleman sent in. Okay, to me it correlates because, like he said, it's not just on our site. It's everywhere. People just don't realize that they're engaged in it. And you know, I try to tell people I can't stress enough how careful you need to be if you're going to go investigate anything. Okay, Bigfoot has a direct correlation to the paranormal. I believe it has a direct correlation to the spiritual world as well. All of it's intertwined, ever how you want to look at it. And it's really awesome to hear other people describe stuff that we haven't even touched on yet. And DW hasn't seen our web page. He hasn't seen our videos. So he has no way to be primed for any of this. And so I think that's pretty cool.
Nah, I didn't. I didn't even go look at the YouTube channel, bro. So I just know these things from not only talking to eyewitnesses, but when we had our camera project, we were seeing that hooded figure. Every time we saw a Bigfoot face, it was something there that was a hooded figure with white eyes. It was way taller, and it was like, what the hell is that? Like it was over and over, and I was like, what? And I would be laying in the bed in the middle of the night looking at the camera, and I would see this hooded figure with white eyes, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And every time I saw it, I would get like cold chills, and I'd be like, "Yo, I'm way over." Camera was way in Mississippi. I'm in New Orleans, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And it made sure it made its presence known. And we talking about hundreds of people saw this live on streams. So it's the element of Bigfoot that people don't really talk about, and it's also the element that a real field researcher. I mean, somebody who's really in the field, they know these things. That you can't, like people
Yep.
who say I'm an investigator and they go in their backyard. No, bro, you ain't, bro. Real investigators know these things. That's why I say I admire the fact that you guys do it because knowing what I know, like my friend today, Jordan was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go deer hunting." I said, "No, we're not." He was like, "No, I want to know
Yeah.
we're not." I said we'll go airboat hog hunting where we're on a boat. We got an extra boat in case that boat stops. We go kill some hogs. I'm not walking out into the woods. He's like, bro, you gotta quit playing. No, 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 bro, I'm not doing it. So, guys, let's swing over to this documentary that you guys got. Talk to me a little bit about the I Believe in Bigfoot documentary.
Take it away, Tater or
No,
David.
David, you go ahead. You discovered it.
On we were at a convention up in Tennessee, up in Morrisontown, Tennessee, and Kelly is the movie the filmmaker and producer. This is his love child, if you will, right now, and he was just up there interviewing the different people, and we were invited up on that weekend more of a promotional purpose. And I didn't realize people were going to set up and try to sell T-shirts and things of that nature. And that's not really what I went there for. So I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I don't really have a place at the table, so I just kind of milled around and watched people and how they presented themselves and watched some of the interviews. And so finally, somebody stepped over and says, "Hey, Kelly would like to talk to you." And so I'm like, okay. So we introduced ourselves and at DW, we did something similar to what you did before the cast is, we didn't plan anything out, but I asked him, I said, okay, so how do you want this to flow? And he goes, I don't understand. I'm like, boom, 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 4 or 5 little bullet points. I said, we got to have a flow to make sure that, we have a decent interview. And he goes, oh, he said, so you guys really have done this before. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, we want to make sure that we give your viewers a good look and that we're, present ourselves as the honest, moral-based Christian group that we are. Although there may be some language from time to time, we can't help that.
Trust me, I know.
Oh yeah.
Stuff we see, whew, Lord have mercy. But anyway, so we had the interview, and the interview was stellar. The camera guy, the guy that was doing the camera and the audio, he was just going nuts back there, just like, a silent cheer because he couldn't say anything because he was recording. But when we got done, they're like, guys, look, your group, this is what we're looking for. We have interviewed, 20, 30 people at this point at different venues, different places. And he said, this is what we want to capture. And so you move forward. All the guys have talked. We've had a couple of Zoom meetings. Ron Moorhead is going to be a part of this documentary. We've zoomed in with Ron. We finalized the details this last, I guess, Sunday evening or Saturday evening sometime, and we're going to be filming for 4 solid days, and then depending on weather and what happens, it could potentially move into a 2-week process. But his goal is to release an hour, 45-minute documentary about the real researchers that are out there that truly are trying to bring Bigfoot to the masses in the right way, in the right light. And so we're just proud to be a part of this. And so we think it's going to be pretty decent, so we wouldn't signed on.
I love it. It sounds like it's going to be exciting. It sounds like it's going to be something that's going to be worth the watch, man. I'm glad. I've said this for a long time, guys. There's, I guess it's Finding Bigfoot is a show that came out. I've been waiting to see where people who are actually like part of the Bigfoot community itself, that those people be elevated to a position where they're on documentaries and TV shows and movies, because it's the people who have the boots on the ground who have the true knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And I watched
Exactly.
stuff where it was like
Preach it.
these guys are on, and I'm like, yo, dude, I know you don't know what you're talking about, bro. And I'm sitting there looking like, and I can't believe you're on TV. Like, what is going on here? And I'll turn off the show. So I'm just happy to hear that, man. And it's happening more and more. And it's something that I think it's because there's this competition where they know that at some point in time, this community as a whole is going to get itself together and it's going to compete with those bigger producers. So they're saying, wait, let's go ahead and get some of this talent now and start elevating it ourselves, because it's only a matter of time before one of us who's got a big name says, okay, let me get 5 big name people together. Let's put some money together. Let's go do our own huge documentary and then sell it off ourselves. And so that's what's going on all over the place. I'm just happy to hear it, man. I really am happy to hear it. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
And man, y'all kick behind on it, bro. Kick behind. Just make sure you do it to them.
Thanks, man.
I just want to jump in. You touched on something that is so important to us, and all of us would give our eye teeth to have our own show, but we want our own show for a specific reason. We have a platform that most people don't. And brother, if it's not true, we won't say it. And if we believe it to be true, we'll let you know. If we find out that it's not true, we'll go back and correct ourselves. We're not above and beyond doing that.
And not scared to tie God in with our and with our evidence. A lot of people are. Yeah.
Bingo. We keep Christ at the center of everything that we do, and we catch a lot of heat for that. We've been told at cons that we shouldn't be talking about God or bring God up, and of course that's never going to stop us. But on some of these big name shows that you may or may not have mentioned, their credibility is nowhere near what people think that it is. And I was very disappointed with a group of those people, having been a part of one of those. So, and I'll just kind of leave that at that. But I appreciate you elevating us to give us those kind words. So thank you so much.
Nah, guys, you're more than welcome. And I'll tell you, that's one of the things that's changing. Watch my words. You see this cryptid paranormal field. It's under an invasion by men of God. And then those people gonna say, man, this dude crazy. I know for a fact because I talked to him. Man, I want to do a podcast. Okay, here's what you need to worry about. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Here's how you protect your family from the spirits. Here's how you do this. Oh, thanks, DW. And then they're off and running. Then people never know they ever spoke to me, but then they're off and running. And I've seen 15 come in the past 6 months. And so this is an area where I say all the time, you're on so far on the fringe of things when people deal with this. For example, I'll give you this example. In my opinion, in my experience, if a person sees a shadow man in their house, a Bigfoot staring through their window, a dog man in their backyard, a rake, any paranormal activity that's manifested itself to the point to where it's regular and reoccurring, you are so far on the outer fringes of the spirit world and spirit realm of things that are taking place that you're kind of hitting against the buffer. It's kind of like, imagine like, a wall. You're bumping against the wall. You're bumping against the wall. You're bumping against the wall. And in my experience, that's it's an opportunity for them to have spiritual enlightenment and come to God. And if they heed that opportunity, because they've seen these things, because they've had this opportunity to experience these things, it puts them in a unique understanding to understand that God is real versus somebody who's just got up, went to work, picked their kids up from school, and they're too busy to understand God. If you got a demon holding you down in the middle of the night, whispering in your ear, and you call on Jesus and it stops, oh, you know Jesus is real. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Amen.
It's one of those things to where it's the uber testimony that people can give, and it's just powerful and beautiful. Anyway, let me get off my soapbox. This is not about them, it's about you. All right, guys, so let's keep on moving. All right, let's have some fun. Let's go into some fun things. Let's go to funniest and scariest encounter that you guys have had jointly. What's the funniest thing you guys done in the woods together, you've seen happen in the woods when you guys are out there?
I know this one's coming. This is I'll start it off because I know it's coming. So when I first started, this was honestly one of my this was right before Tate gets in, because I know if I don't say it, David's going to, so I might as well make myself look a little brave. This is one of the scariest and the funniest at the same time. So this was probably, we're about 2 years in now, David, at this point, if that. God,
maybe 2 or 3. Yeah.
And I used to have a nickname I don't go by anymore because I don't run anymore. But this is so, dude, we were at the end of our hunt. All cameras were dead. Dude, all of a sudden, it was me, David, our old teammate Bronson, and a guest that he'd brought with him. And, dude, at the end of the hunt, all of a sudden you just hear, and this is no bear growl. no bobcat growl. This is a beast growl. This is a demon or a Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it. All of a sudden, you just hear, David, you go ahead and take the sound effect away if you want.
It was so loud. It went. I mean, this big, long, visceral roar.
Yeah, and so next thing I know is I'm locking myself in the car, man, and David can take the part over after this.
You hear choot, choot, choot. I looked around, all the car doors slammed shut. Go ahead, Tyler, go ahead.
And then I rolled my window down just a little bit. David, you can finish this part because I'm inside. I mean, we're all screaming inside. I can't hear nothing.
I am trying to figure out. I got to know what this thing is. I want to know where it comes from. And there, you can hear them in the car begging me to get the car. And I look over there, and Taylor's got his two lips stuck out the window, going, "Get your car, David! Get your car!" It's like his lips were just,
dude.
In the car, David. And I'm like, I gotta know.
Yeah. After that, I was pure believer. I was believer before that, but after that, dude, you could feel it in your chest. This growl and this rumble, like it rumbled your whole body. And I was what 20. I was about 20, 21.
Yeah.
And dude, I was young, and that officially broke me in.
Taylor's defense, the summer before that, it was the first time Taylor ever did a knock on a tree, DW. And we were just goofing. I mean, we really weren't expecting anything. And, Taylor gets finished with the knock. And then all of a sudden, when we hear this rock hit, now you have to understand, this thing stood below a stream that feeds into the Henry River, and through a King James size family living edition Bible, okay, size rock. I mean, it was a huge rock, and this thing threw it from downhill up over our heads, landed on a bank, and went thud, and went boom, 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 and you could hear it just rolling. Well, we didn't know it was rolling down the hill, okay? And then it startled all of us, and this is all on camera yet again. And so, that's enough to startle anybody. And then you fast forward another 6 or 7 months, and we're on the trail headed down towards that area. And on camera again, you can hear this rock come crashing through the limbs, okay? And then it lands on the trail right beside of us. And it startles everyone. Now, I mean, it startled Taylor a little more. I
was in the back by myself. Yeah.
So it was
but we've had now scarier moments than that. I'm just 30 years old. Tate and David, a year ago when the tree branch fell out, like almost on top of us. I mean,
we was walking. There's a field area near the spot where we drive down in the park. And we was walking along the tree line, and then all of a sudden you hear a snap, boom, crack, pop, pop. And I mean, a big, decent size. I mean, if it fell on us, we was going to the hospital, we were dead. Like, it was a decent sized tree branch just fell out of probably 10-foot tree right in front of us as we were walking. Now, you can say it's coincidence, but at the end of the day, it's like we're walking right there, and that one out, all those trees throughout the wilderness is going to fall right there. And
it happened again last week.
I was about to say that just stuck my memory. Last week, David, you want to go tell him you jumped in the woods after it?
Oh, well, I'm telling you. So last week when we get there, DW, there's an area up top where we can park. I mean, and I don't want to give too much away. One thing we do different than a lot of researchers, okay? And we have been invited to other people's property, and we have happily went and hunt and investigate and check things out. And we do that when we can. But we have been hunting the same primary spot for 13 years. We know it like the back of our hand, okay? And when we pulled in and we heard this giant thud, we knew immediately what was going on. And so I told the guys, I said, hey, look, y'all drive down to base camp, and I'm going to walk from basically up top of this small, it's not foothill, if you will, down to base camp. Now, this is probably 700 feet above sea level right here, and there's areas of the property that are almost 1,000 feet above sea level. So it's some pretty steep hills on this property. So I just got I got a flashlight that Tate gave me, and I've got a personal body camera with night vision. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm about as brave as they come. But when you know what we know, and when you understand that there's more going on than just a living creature, that there's actually a paranormal aspect to it, it gets harder and harder to step into those woods by yourself. And I walked in nearly a mile. At times, I would just cut my flashlight out, and I would try to make it. I know I'm getting off course, and I'd have to redirect myself. And lo and behold, I found a power line down in the forest, if you will. And luckily, I cut the flashlight on, because that would have been really bad. But you get down to the bottom, and you've got this really eerie feeling. You know something's going on, and that whole night. That whole night was just. We saw things this past week we've never saw before as investigators. DW touched on the hooded figure. Okay, kind of circle back to that for a second. It's one thing to hear one person talk about it, but tell them how you felt when you finally had an experience that night while we were up there.
Which one, the light or the figure?
When you finally saw the movement of the figure.
Okay. Well, we've had a recent, I guess you'd say, newfound epiphany on how to do a little bit of research. If you watch our channel, our old videos, we're just dash and bash and just run around, and we think that they like to watch us as entertainment, so we just kind of act like we're just anywhere and do our thing. Well, there's been a lot of people that watch our channel that have always suggested, and some complain, but we finally heard them out that we were too loud, and we need to actually try sitting and let them come to us. And thanks to Kelly and this documentary that we're getting ready to do, they want to do the same thing when they come. And a few weeks ago, we just like, let's try it before they get here to see how we do. So we start just sitting down in the middle of the trail, turn everything off except the camera, cover the camera lights, our lights, and all the glow, so you can't really see nothing, and we're in the pitch dark. We're just sitting there patiently, quiet. And we've had some of the most closest interaction activity that we've had in years now. And to David's point, last weekend, me, him, and his fiance went to one side of the property, and then Taylor, his wife, and Toby went to the other side, completely different sides of the property. And we went down to the trail side where we sat the first time and sat down. And maybe 5-10 minutes in, you hear a rock just conk off a tree and hit the brush and everything. And we're just like, oh my God. And it's on video. Well, we're sitting there, and I happen to look straight in front of me, and it's just just dark thicket trees. And I see a little head and two big, broad black shoulders, like a silhouette. And it's just like standing there, and then it kind of swaps to it'd be my right, but it's left. And when I saw that, I was like, whoa. And I had cold chills. My palms got sweaty. My heart was palpitating. I had to say something. I was trying to be quiet. I was like, David, I've just seen a silhouette of shoulders just swipe off in the dark. And then he got quiet. He's like, you're seeing the same things that I'm seeing. And at that point, I was like, "Oh snap! We got stuff in front of us or all around us." And I tell you this much, that presence feeling you'll get, like when like somebody's staring at you awkwardly in a crowd or something, or like somebody's in the room with you, you don't see them yet, but they're there. I had that feeling while we was out there. We'd hear movement all around us, and it just felt like there was something just right there with us, but you couldn't see. It was just pitch black. And then the strangest part at the end about it all was, you could see the parking area through the woods where we park. It's probably a good mile away from us. and there's this big ball of light, almost looks like a spotlight, just light up the woods, illuminates all the woods and trees, and we're just like, what? We thought it was Taylor and him back at the car. They had the flashlights on. I radioed him and said, "Hey, where y'all at?" I said, "We're over at the caves." Now the caves are like 5 miles away from the parking spot on the other side of us, so they're probably a good 6 to 10 miles away from us. And I'm like, and to this day, we don't know who the hell was with that light down there. We don't know what that was.
It was the first time we thought somebody ever walked in on us.
Yeah.
The
we were looking at it also through the woods, and we thought it was them. They thought it was us. And honestly, we wasn't even supposed to have flashlights on until we told each other. Flashlights, calling, anything.
Yeah,
nothing could be on. No tech on it besides our cameras at the time. And that was wild. We were all witnessing it through the woods.
And the interesting thing about that aspect is, in the same place that light occurred, at the very end of the night when us and Toby were walking out to our cars to leave, that's when the snap, crackle, pop tree branch in the woods right there was going off, and something just rustled off, and then Dave was just jumping in after, and about got electrocuted.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's scary.
You're welcome to come anytime, DW.
Dude, yeah, anytime, bro. Anytime.
Bro, I'm going to tell you like this. It's 2 reasons why I won't go. Number one, before I go, I would pray and ask God if I could go. And then if I went, I would pray for so many angels, flaming chariots, angels on horses with flaming. Y'all wouldn't get no activity. They'd be like, "What the hell just walked in the woods with us?" You wouldn't get no activity, bro, because it'd be too much protection. I tell you guys this: there's a guy who called me. I have this thing I call the full retard series, where all these people who proclaim that I'm a liar, they'll call and I'll give them coordinates. This guy calls me, man, and he talks the wildest trash I've ever heard. So I'm just sitting there listening to him call me a liar and say everything is made up. And I'm listening. I'm like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir." I said, "Do you want me to prove to you that I'm not lying?" He said, "Yeah, prove to me you're not lying." I said, "Okay. Are you a Christian?" He says, "Yes." I said, "Okay, well, you shouldn't be calling me a liar, but nonetheless," I said, "Here's what if you do this, I'll give you this coordinate." And I said, "I guarantee you're gonna see Dogman." He says, "I'll do it." I said, "All right, you might want to hear what I'm saying first." He said, "No, I'm gonna do it." I said, "Okay, so when you get there, you're gonna call me on the phone." And I said, "And I'm gonna pray for God to remove your hedge of protection and remove your guardian angel and remove everything from you so you can experience this." And he says, you gonna do what?" I said, "I'm gonna pray for him to remove everything." I said, "Just so you can see." And he's, "I'm gonna do it." Man, homeboy gets over to right by the Sabine River, and my man calls me on the phone, and I do it. And I said, "Now listen," I said, "you ain't got no protection." I said, "As soon as you get out this call, you're gonna have a problem." Bro, he calls me back 15 minutes later. He says, "Man, I got literally 100 yards into the woods, and I got ran out of the woods." He said, "I saw something with glowing red eyes coming after me." And he said, "Bro," he said, "I'm sorry. You telling the truth." I said, "Bro, you got to understand there's a spiritual aspect to it, and you got protection. So I'm not really, I can go, but I don't even, at this point for me, I know it's real. There's no doubt about it. I don't really need to go." Let me ask you guys this question. All right. Have you guys ever experienced, or one of you guys experienced this where the other person hasn't, or anybody who's been out with you? Have they ever seen a mist in the woods where they were seeing a misty environment, but you guys didn't see the mist?
Holy
oh my
crap.
God.
Whoa. And you don't watch any of our videos or nothing.
No,
and
watch,
you're the
bro.
same as us. We don't keep up with no one else.
I don't keep up with nobody else. I'm just
literally,
telling you stuff I know, bro.
Dude, okay, David, you take it away, homie. I mean, this is you.
Oh my God, dude.
For just a second. So when he said that, of course, it kind of took my breath away. But on the top of my phone, it popped up, prayer verse you need to hear now, and then prayer scripture for this evening before you go to bed. So I'll be checking those verses out and see how they correlate with this conversation. But we have on occasion seen things where you ask the other person, "Hey, did you see something?" And they don't respond, and so you don't really say a whole lot. The mist, the fog, the smoke. I don't care how you want to describe it. It's a little unnerving right now, and so I'm going to talk about it the best I can. But Hillary and I, we went one night, and everybody's got lives and things come up, babies, and you can't always go in the woods. So the guys had the camera equipment, and we didn't really have anything good to record with. So we said, hey, we're just going to go and have some fun. So Hillary sees some of the shadow figures that I've been seeing for a while now, and it's a little unnerving when you think you're the only one that sees them. And then it's not that it's any better if somebody else is, okay? But at least you're not crazy. So on our way out of the property, we were actually on a powered vehicle this night, and which is rare for us. But we actually got to a certain part of the property, and we just came to a screeching halt because we thought we were going to hit a wall, and where there should be no wall. And it was just this. It just engulfed in front of us. It's just white mist. Okay.
That's it.
And then, as quick as it appeared, it was gone. It just faded away like it was nothing. And so we circled back around, and right in the very spot, and pointed our lights back down, and you could see the remnants just kind of slowly fading away. What little bit was left, and we find out later that night that there's a lot of paranormal aspect to that part of the property, and that someone had a recent sighting of a Sasquatch right there at that particular point. And you fast forward 2 weeks, and the owner of the property and his wife, on a separate portion of the property where really we're just going into our base camp, in the daylight, they have a similar thing where they actually stopped their little motorized golf cart because they didn't want to hit whatever it was that they were seeing. And when it disappeared, his wife turns and looks at him and says, "Don't tell David." And then that just weirded me out even more when I found out that she didn't want me to know about it. And I think it's more for my protection than it is anything else. But it's really wild that you should bring that up. So,
And David, what's crazy is the podcast, that's a pretty big podcast also, DW, that we did, hasn't even aired yet. So I know there's no way in the world that you've heard this before. Like, that's why it put cold chills on me even more. And that's what I was thinking, making those faces. That hasn't even aired yet, guys, for him to even have ever heard that or anything. Yeah. So,
well, no, bro, I'm telling you, these are things that I know because I talked to witnesses. I've seen the videos. This is what you guys got to be careful of. Next time you see a mist, pull out your phone, turn on your camera, make sure the light is on, and snap a picture, and then zoom in and see the faces that are in that mist, and you'll understand what you're walking into and what you're dealing with. And David, for you, I'm not trying to freak you out, but I'm gonna tell you, David. So when you're dealing with any group environment where you're the man of authority, where you're the leader of the group, you are always the target. So you, my brother, have to be prayed up, repented, covered in Jesus' blood, and protected by angels at all points and times, because everything targets the man of authority. So when you guys said David can go out in the woods and he get all this stuff, of course he can. That's the man of authority. He's the guy. He's the Don Donna. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to be very prayed up, and you'll be fine, and you'll enjoy yourself out there and do whatever you want to do. But that's why you experience the things you experience. There's part physical and part spiritual aspects to it. The woman that I talked to that experienced the mess, her husband noticed these very, very pointed personality changes, and he left her in a car and went outside of the car. And when he came back to the vehicle, he was like, "Come on, get out of the car." She's like, "I can't get out of the car because there's this mist here." And he said, "Get out of the car. There's no mist." She says, "I'm not getting out the car. Do you not see that mist?" He says, "No, I don't see any mist." They leave. She gets home, and she starts to have these changes in her personality to the point to where he was like, "Man, something was off with her. Something was going on." And it lasted for about 2 weeks, and then she went back to normal. So those are the what I call the demonic paranormal elements that are involved in this. And the reason why I say it's demonic is because it affected her personality, and the way she behaved changed. So you just have to be mindful of it and understand what you're dealing with when you're out there in the woods dealing with these creatures. Because people allude to the fact that they're part spiritual and they're physical. No, it's true. There's a spiritual aspect to it that if you're not prepared for, you're gonna get mollywopped. And then there's a physical aspect where a tree might fall on your head and you're gonna get mollywopped that way. So you need to be doing what you're doing. And that's all it is to it. All right, let's move off of that and stop freaking everybody out. I'm sorry. Guys, let's go into some of the events you guys got coming down the pipeline. You got some conferences that you're going to be speaking at. And I love to talk about these conferences because it gives, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, it gives you an opportunity to actually meet these gentlemen, shake their hands, come in contact with them and get to know them. Talk about where you guys are going to be in the upcoming future.
All right. So April 1st is our newest one coming up. It's at Hamlet, North Carolina. So the cool thing about this one is she's actually, the lady that's in charge has actually only booked people that come to this as a Christian aspect of things and keep God first. So there's some big name guys like the Tennessee Wrath Chasers, Ron Moorhead, a couple other people in that. So we've never been a part of one actually like this, and she's asked us to come speak and MC it. So we'll be hanging out all day, actually giving our stories through the day, also just at different times, and really excited for that one because if you're coming to hear about the Christian side of how we think about it, and that one we're really super stoked about. April 1st. Marion, Tate, you want to take that one or David?
Oh,
Yeah, Marion, North Carolina. Yeah, it's a festival, and it's normally like 30,000. They want us to come back and speak at it. And then there's also another one that could be in Tennessee on April 29th. Not 100% sure on that one. There's a bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes, but we've actually, like, after these two, we only are going to do like stuff that's kind of local for us because we're focusing so much on getting people videos for our YouTube that aren't able to get out and do it because now our channel is finally taking off again after the COVID, and Toby's back and we're all forward back, and we've got our females actually coming in. People enjoy that on certain videos. And dude, I mean, we're going to focus more on it for our people instead of us just going out we're still spreading our name and we give a lot of stuff away. So if you want free gifts, come on, you'll get free silly bands or pictures or whatever. And yeah, that's what we're going to focus on coming up and everything. But yeah, so we're excited.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that somebody who's going to approach the paranormal from a Christian perspective. I need to promote that. I'm going to put my full weight behind that because there needs to be a space in this community where we do that for sure. So I let that person know whatever they need from me. I'm more than happy to help them with getting the word out.
Her name is Jessica, and what's her last name? Don't know. You actually may have interviewed someone she knows, Daniel Benoit, a couple of weeks ago, but I'll get you her number. I'll email it to you. I'll meet her. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Now that we broke off that, let's go back into. We broke that. We kind of calmed everything down. Let's dive back into the dark, deep waters. Let's go into one of you guys give me the worst encounter, the worst thing that you've experienced in the woods that spooked the hell out of you as it pertains to Bigfoot. Anybody? I know it may have been a joint encounter, it may have been an individual encounter. Which one would you say has been?
We've all had the lots. Ooh, what about those Indian drums and chants, guys?
That was scary.
I mean, I don't know, the thing flying over us.
The UFO, that was scary too. Yeah.
Okay, it's all in the same thing. Dark water. I'll get it going because I know their minds are going.
I'm thinking. I got the gears.
So we had two skeptics with us. Didn't believe in anything. Dude, all of a sudden you start hearing boom, 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 boom. Oh, sound like drums and Indian chanting, dude. I mean, that's all I can explain. And what's crazy about this is, couple months, about a year prior to this, a flood came. You watch our videos, you've heard a lot about the flood from David. And but the Henry River flooded. It flooded our whole base camp out, and it washed away some stuff. And there was rock piles, and the producer of the land that we use started moving out some trails for us again, uncovered some bones that he thinks was an Indian burial ground, covered them back up, and after that, we've had the drums.
Horrible idea.
Oh man.
He didn't do it on purpose, mind you.
He didn't do it on purpose.
Okay.
No. Didn't do it on purpose. But that's just one of the many things. And like before we heard this drum beating, a year prior to that, we went to the location. There was we found one of the rock piles that he was talking about. There's an X formation beside of it, and we take a picture beside the X formation for our Instagram just to show our believers that we were out there. Well, now our adventure team that we were out there, and that's what we call our subscribers now. And dude, we took a picture. You can see two glowing eyes in the background above our head,
Green.
probably what 30 feet behind us, up in the air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's probably maybe 60, 70 feet behind us, easy.
Okay.
But it was
Yeah.
a little hill, the mountain, and when if you snap a picture, DW, and you see a little bit of eye shine, it could be anything. This is different. And I know I'm not going to do it justice, but if you can imagine, these eyes were like as big as my hands. Okay, they were huge to even be able to show up from that distance on just a flash of an iPhone. And that's all I'll say right there, and I'll let y'all take it back.
Go ahead.
Well, so we're looking at this picture live and have the camera rolling and everything, and we're just flabbergasted at the set of big bulging green glowing eyes in the background on the ridge. And about that time, you hear something doing really quiet, like a muffled sound, and we look up. There's a massive triangular shaped flying aircraft. We're gonna call it a UFO because we can't identify it. It was unidentifiable to us. But a normal plane stuff's got the little flashing markers on the edges of the wings and the tail and stuff. This had no flashing markers or nothing. It was just a big triangle of lights, and it was flying right above the trees. I mean, it probably grazed leaves as it went by, and it's just hovering really slow across the tree line, and then disappears on the other side into the clouds.
And I think that
across the river.
And from our Christian aspect, David, I was thinking about this the other day. What if it's not all the same? Like, why can't aliens and UFOs be the same species that we think Bigfoot could be now, the falling angels? Why can't it all be one? They have ways to, it could be. No one's experts, but that's the way I started thinking. I was like, how did this all happen at one time? And I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, that could be why.
You're right. It could be. So let me. I want to ask DW a question, but I want to share a quick story with you. So Toby's back, and I wish Toby was on the podcast with us, but we were supposed to film, and something happened. Taylor couldn't come. I don't know if Tate had ventured into it at this point. But I got stuck hunting that night by myself, and so our equipment back then was not as advanced as ours is now, which we still need better equipment, but we're leaps and bounds ahead of where we were. So I'm set up in our cabin, and I'm trying to start a fire. I've got the camera rolling, and I'm gonna tell you, if man, it was the awfulest feeling I've ever had. I mean, I had recently, the year prior, I'd seen Bigfoot with my own eyes. I had my own close encounter, 20 feet away. 8.5, 9 feet tall. There's no doubt that I saw a Sasquatch. So now, coming from a borderline skeptic to a full-blown believer, it's hard to be down there by yourself. And I'm just sitting here, and I'm talking to the camera. I'm going, dear God, please, don't let me do this by myself tonight. And about that time, I seen headlights, and here comes Toby driving down the trail, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. So because I didn't want to be alone that night, and I was so thankful to have a brother with me. And so he comes in, and it always happens when you cut your camera off. And Tate, I don't know if you've ever heard this story. Mm-hmm. So Toby and I are sitting there, the fire's crackling, and it's cold outside. It's wintertime. And we're formulating our game plan to go out and do an investigation. And then all of a sudden, okay, if I said nails on chalkboard, it doesn't do it justice. If you can imagine a scratch so loud that it sounded like it was curling the lumber out from under its fingernails when it scratched the side of the cabin. And I don't mean like a little 2-second scratch. I mean slow, get your attention, like it started at the top and worked its way all the way down to the floor. And Toby and I looked at ourselves, and all of a sudden we heard boom, and the whole cabin shook. What we didn't realize was this thing was kind of perched down, and it's like it took its arm and it was scratching the floor of the cabin. And then when it went to run off, it bumped the cabin and shook the whole thing. And of course, you know, we got the camera on. We're recreating. We're telling the viewers, and Rex has got all this video, and then we're out in the woods hunting. So that was unnerving for me, because had Toby not shown up, that would have been me there by myself, and I might have went gray haired all that night at one time instead of gradually over the last 10 years. So
That'll
but,
do it to you, bro.
So DW, here's my question to you: do you believe in aliens?
Yes.
Wonderful. Most people we encounter do not have a healthy view of aliens. And so, and it's very emotional for me. And the guys will tell you, one of our first cons in Virginia, we had a group there, a couple, they were atheists. And, we weren't trying to single anybody out, but we were asking, people who didn't believe to tell us why. And they were very happy to let us know that they didn't believe in God. And I said, great, hold that thought. This is not going to pick on you. Just going to share some information with you. And we go into our theory. And, our theory is always worth repeating. And, once we do, and we always tell everybody, if you truly believe the Bible is 100% real, which I do, it's infallible. There's no flaws in it. There's no lies. The earth is roughly about 7,000 years old. So you can chop it up ever how you want to and decide. But I didn't realize that the war in heaven happened before the creation of the earth.
Yep.
And so I share that with people, and I try to take them down the little history lesson and where hell truly is in the Bible. And earth is a gateway to hell, which means hell has to be a dimension somewhere within the earth where we don't know. Yep. But the Bible says Lucifer is the little g god, little g. And he has power to walk between two worlds. That's that's hell and earth. He can't enter heaven, but he can walk between those two. And when I tell everybody that when you believe that, because the Bible clearly states it, that means interdimensional beings have to be real. That theory has to be possible. And then when you try to explain to them that, by definition, God himself is alien, because he ain't from here. He created the earth. He's not from earth. So when we talk about alien encounters, are we talking about angels? I know that, angels are not all the same. Some of them are so scary, I don't believe I ever want to lay eyes on some of them. Okay. But, Taylor says, why can't the UFO sighting be part of it? It could be. I don't know what a chariot looks like. I just know that Elijah went off in a flaming chariot. I don't know if it had two wheels and drawn by horses, or if it was just how they described it at the time. But I do know the longer that we're in it, and the more the prophecies that are revealed, especially with the whole thing going on with Euphrates River right now, it just seems like the activity that we're having is become stronger and stronger. And I don't know if that's because of the end time prophecies or if the veil has become thinner that we're allowed to see more. But it's certainly a lot of food for thought when you're trying to convince people that there is a God. When you're talking about dogmen and cryptids and Bigfoot and paranormal, it's all biblically related, and I can tie it into God every time. And that's kind of our mission. So I'm glad to know that you believe in aliens.
It's I'll tell you my opinion on it. This may help you, it may not, so people can understand this. Being born and raised here, and ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna go into overtime because some of these things I'm gonna say, I think people should help me monetize these things. I'm about to give up some real game right here as it pertains to spiritual stuff. All right, so when people talk about God, the term God is an office, right? And how do we know this? Because Lucifer is a little g god, Apollyon is a god, Leviathan was a god, Oshun is a god, Legba is a god. All these the five the five African powers, all these things are gods, but they're little g gods. So God is in office. So in Jesus Christ is God, is the one true, all powerful, all knowing, mighty El Shaddai, Elohim, Adonai, the Lord of spirits, the names of the one true God, right? So if the term God is in office, then angel is in office. Angel means messenger. And so for people to understand this, if you understand the Bible and you understand the terminology in the Bible, when you see angel, it means messenger, but it's an office. So the definition of what an angel can look like, it can have various different looks. Just like Oshun, who's a water spirit that we've been beefed out with here in New Orleans for the longest. That's a spirit of perversion and homosexuality. That's a god to people. So when you start talking about a fallen angel, that can take any shape or form. It can take the form of some little stupid gray. It can take the form of a dogman. It can take the form of a Bigfoot. It can take the form of a man. It can take all these various different forms.
Amen.
And people don't understand that because in order, you really have to have a relationship with the Holy Spirit and God to the point to where He's your provider and your protector in order to come to these revelations. Like He's my protector in this field of paranormal. When I woke up one night and there was this thing behind my door that was jet black. You could see its face, but it had this curly hair like Medusa. But it was behind the open door looking at me. I wake up, I felt it looking at me. I look, and it looks at me, and I said, Lord, do I need to worry about that? He says,
Oh
no,
my.
go back to sleep. And I said, well, what are we going to do about getting rid of that? He said, would you like to see? And I said, yeah, I want to see what's going to happen about this because that's not supposed to be here. And I need to know what I did wrong. And this is the most important thing. What I did wrong for it to get access. And I hear, you know what? That's why I like you. You smart. And bro, there's a flash of light in my room. The room, a flash of light like somebody snapped a picture. Boom. And that thing is gone. And I say, you want to talk about what I did wrong now, or should I go back to sleep? Your decision. I said, I'm going to go back to sleep. I go back to sleep, wake up the next morning, and he reveals to me what I did wrong that allowed, the sin that I did that allowed that thing to access my household. It was an unrepented sin, which left an open doorway, and I haven't had that since. I haven't had that problem since. And so when you understand the true, if you have an understanding of the Bible, then you have the playbook for how to deal with the paranormal. And if you don't have that playbook, then you got a problem on your hands. And so I tell the atheists and people who don't believe in God, I said, just as bold as you are coming to me and saying you don't believe in God, I ask you to have that same courage, fall on your face, and ask God to reveal to you that He's real. So all you got to do is ask. And I say, I'll pray that He reveals Himself to you, and I'll intercede for you so He'll reveal Himself. And nobody does it. Because what I found about the people who are atheistic, they've had things that went wrong in their life, and they have their opinions. But at the end of the day, a lot of those people are afraid of facing the truth. That's not even the truth about God, it's the truth about themselves. And until they face the
Man.
truth about themselves, they won't turn to God. It takes a certain level of humility and courage to face the fact that you all screwed up and you messed up, and a lot of stuff in your life is your fault. And that's all it is to it. The minute they fall on their face and say, God, show me you real, man, they get to experiencing things. And man, I was laying on my bed and I did what you said and my bed shook violently. Yeah, that's how Abba Father does it. I said, so now you know. So now you got a decision to make. So yes, I agree with you guys on that. And I believe that when you start talking about how the war in heaven happened before the creation of the earth, when you listen to the scripture and it says the earth was formless and void, and then later on in the scripture you see where the Lord says there's nothing that He makes formless and void, it lets you know that there was something there, then something happened here, and He was doing a creation. And it was something else that went down that we don't know about, because the Bible is the book of Adam, which is the book of Adam. It ain't the book of what was there prior or what was going on prior. We only got a little bit of information about everything that went on. And for the people in the paranormal field, a lot of people dive super deep into the extra canonical books. They go into the book of Enoch, the book of Jasher, the book of Adam and Eve. They just dig, and they find themselves becoming Gnostics because they feel like they have this secret knowledge, and now knowledge becomes their God. I know something you don't know. No, bro. at the end of the day, salvation is what you need, and God will guide you to where you need to be. So
Yep.
this the paranormal field is a treacherous place, spiritually treacherous, and it's had traps and snares all over the place. And people just, I try my best to help people guide through them, but at the end of the day, man, people got to make their own decisions. It's a treacherous place because of all the information that's there that can lead you astray. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's all I'm
Yep.
gonna say.
Yep.
All
You
right,
said it was
guys. This has been a phenomenal interview. All right, let's talk about the YouTube channel. Repeat the name of the YouTube channel so everybody knows how to get there. I'm going to spend some significant time tonight watching videos. I want to see this UFO for sure. Wait,
Yep.
wait. I got one more question because I got a few more minutes before this next interview starts. Have you guys seen the altars in the woods that Bigfoot creates? There are stacks
The
of rocks all over the place. They're altars.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's what
Absolutely.
our YouTube channel is based around. That's what it all really started off of.
A gifting site.
It's
We call
a
it.
gifting site, the stack of rocks. Yep.
Well, people call it a gifted site, but that's their
Yes.
altar for you to
Yeah,
give
the
them
altar.
a gift.
Right. Yes.
And-
Yes. That's exactly. Yeah. We have
Just
that.
understand when you're giving them something, you're giving them something on their altar. So, and you know what altars are there for. Those are places where you worship something. So just be mindful. I tried to explain this to a woman who had Bigfoot on her property. She's like, I give them gifts because they left this stack of rocks and they like me to put it there. I said, hold on. I said, so you went out and bought apples? She said, yeah. I said, so you took your money and you sacrificed your money to buy apples. And then you brought those apples over to this altar that they set up and you gave them to them. She's like, yes. I said, what the hell does that sound like to you? She said, oh my God. I said, thank you, sister. I said, what's wrong with you? I said, what is wrong with you? What
Now,
is wrong
David?
with you? So,
Now, David.
David,
I mean, yeah,
I'm
there's
just telling you.
there's a $2.50 coat
Dude.
hanging by a rope right now over the altar.
DW.
had the rights.
DW, you need to call us one day, even without the podcast, and just talk with us because, dude, you've hit everything. And if you're like us, you just hear stories, but we don't keep up with other people, and we get all of this evidence on our own, and it's matching up. And you've gave me
Well,
cold
it's
chills this whole
like
time.
everything happens for a reason. God leads people to
Yeah.
each other and things, and like it's like
Yeah.
you think just like us, and
Yep.
you have said some profound things tonight that made us really step back and think.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and you can
Absolutely.
see all this on the Squatch Watchers page. That's what you have.
Yeah.
But
There's the plug.
yeah. Look
Squatch
for the
Watchers,
lime
baby.
green. Yeah, look for the lime green logo. It'll be an outline of a Bigfoot head. Squatch Watchers, because there's another one on there that was like 10 years ago that's still on there for some reason. But you'll see ours, 21,000 subscribers or something right now. But yeah, so that's the real one, Squatch Watchers, and yeah, definitely look it up. NC Squatch Watch on Instagram. If you can't find our YouTube for some strange reason, then yeah.
Awesome sauce, guys. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna wrap this up. I don't want to wrap this up. This is gonna be hard for me to do another interview after talking to these guys. I'm gonna be real with you because I was about to text and say, "Yo, cancel this other cat," but that would be wrong because I'd have missed him 2-3 times. That'd be mistreating him. But I'm gonna definitely have these guys back on and doing my surprise that's rolling out. I'm definitely gonna have them on, and we'll have a 2-hour, 3-hour conversation just going ham on Bigfoot and all the crazy things that are associated with it. But gentlemen, I really appreciate you guys joining me, man. This has been awesome. It's I talked to a lot of field investigators, and when I start hitting them with these things, that you can see in their face, like, I've never seen that. I'm like, you're not doing the right thing. You're not in the right place.
Man, we
But
love
you guys
you,
are
DW.
there, man. You are there.
Because-
you are on top of it.
Because in the Bigfoot world, we're looked at like the crazy ones. I'm so glad. Yeah, love
Yeah,
you.
we're considered the outcast usually.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
there's a
we
reason
tell
for
the
that. Because you tell
Yeah.
the truth. Yeah, that's the reason
Yeah.
for that.
Amen to that.
And there's that. You got to understand the narrative, the Christ narrative, Dominion narrative in the world of Bigfoot and Dogman is something that it's hard to monetize because from an audience standpoint, people know the demographics of their audience, and so they know there's a huge portion of their audience that doesn't want to hear that, and so they don't want to talk about it because there's a huge portion of the audience that doesn't want to hear it. But by not talking about it, you don't give that audience the opportunity to come into the revelations and the understanding that they need to hear about it, so the problem stays the same. So somebody got to have the kahunas to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And as you talk
Bingo.
about it, it changes. So that people should be careful. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't deny talking about things that you know to be true, because now you just in error. So I talk about it. I don't care. You're gonna be mad at me. You don't like me. I got people who never like me my whole life. So it is what it is.
That's yeah.
All right, guys. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, and I'm gonna be reaching out to you guys soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
See you, man.
All right.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.